And I would now recognize the ranking member for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And if you need more time, I'll gladly yield some of my time to you. I want to ask a couple of questions about persons who have asked you to submit additional evidence for the record. You've had more than one request today. I assume that you will comply and you will submit the additional evidence for the record?
We will.
I asked you for evidence, and you complied and you provided this evidence to me. Was my request any different than any of the other requests that you've had today for evidence to go into the record?
No, I haven't kept track of every single request, although I'm certain some
no, I'm talking about.
We have, but we're happy to be as helpful as we possibly.
I'm talking about now more specifically in terms of my having just made a request to you to give me something to go into the record. Was that request made any differently, other than it was made before we got here today, because I wanted to make sure I had something that I could look at and peruse beforehand. Right. Let's go on to something else now. The Code of Judicial Conduct, the canons of ethics, all of these codes that deal with professional responsibility, most of them focus on protecting not the Justice Department itself, but they have to do with rights of individuals that may be prosecuted, rights of entities that may be prosecuted. But you don't promulgate some of these codes. I know the canons of ethics don't allow lawyers to do certain things, and the Code of Judicial Conduct will prohibit a judge from discussing a case pending before the court. These are not professional codes of responsibility that you're trying to hide behind, but you do have to adhere to them. Is that a fair statement?
I do.
And in so doing, it's not to preclude our knowing about evidence. It's just that if you do this and you violate one of the codes, then there may be consequences for you and if you should do this. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, and there are obviously good reasons why those ethics rules and local rules in courts exist. It's to avoid interfering with ongoing matters.
Yes. I know that as a judge, if the judge happens to make a comment about a pending matter, it could prejudice the case one way or the other, depending on how the comment is made. And I just wanted to get that in the record because it's important for people to know that you don't produce the codes, but you do have to adhere to them. And now let's talk for just a moment about FSOC and the Orderly Liquidation Authority. You personally have not had any conversations with persons concerning cases that are associated with the Orderly Liquidation Authority. Is this correct?
Setting aside ongoing matters.
Yes.
The Department of Justice is constantly engaged as a general matter with our regulatory partners and with experts within the government about these sorts of matters to ensure that we are best educated. And in fact, we've redoubled efforts to do so just to ensure that we are doing everything we possibly can. I have not personally had a discussion with the FSOC.
And I'll close with this. Do you believe Mr. Holder when he says no bank, there's no institution, there's no individual that cannot be prosecuted by the U.S. Justice Department? Do you believe that?
I believe him, and I believe that the career prosecutors in the department understand that principle.
Thank you. I yield back the balance of my time, Mr. Chairman.
I thank the ranking member.